Hi, I'm Vince Staples, and you're watching We 96.3 in the Skype Live studio.
Give a warm welcome for Vince Staples. What up, man?
What's up?
We gotta act like we
I
wasn't
was
just
already
back
talking
there.
to you in the back.
So we've been backstage, basically talking about a little bit of everything. So we just gonna continue our conversation. Is that cool with y'all? Yeah. All right. So, question for you. You are obviously a movie dude, and I say that because the tour is based off of a movie. I don't know if y'all knew that, nor named after.
Yeah, a little bit, something like that.
So, what's your favorite movie?
It depends what you talk about.
Just okay. So, if you had to do a top 3 all time any genre,
Back to the Future, Kill Bill, and Goodfellas.
like that.
Kill Bill 2, not 1.
Okay, that's what I was getting ready to say. 1 or 2. So
Yeah, 2.
2.
Yeah,
Okay.
2 a better movie. They was dropping shit in 1, but 2's a better movie.
No doubt. Now, speaking of movies, and I didn't even realize this till like the 3rd time I watched it, but you was in the movie Dope.
Yeah, I was in that movie in the corner somewhere.
You popped up like I watched it. I was like, oh, this movie's really good. And I watched it again, and I was like randomly doing something. And I was like, what? Wait a minute. I think is that
Yeah, I was there. It was a lot of rappers in that movie.
like just in random spots.
Yeah, that was so extra when you really think about how many rappers they had in that movie.
It wasn't quite Who's the Man, but it was just hella
It
rappers
was
in
close.
there.
It was real close.
What was that like? The whole movie experience, and is that something that you're wanting to do going forward?
I mean, it was cool. I wasn't really there that much. I was only there for like 3 days because I had to go on tour. Obviously, that's basically all I do. But it was interesting because everything was in the same building. Like every set of the like every scene in the movie, how they had the different locations. It was all in like one building for the most part.
Oh, okay.
They had one scene at Inglewood High, and then another scene was at a house, like the exterior was at a house in Inglewood, but everywhere else was just like in a warehouse in East LA. So the hamburger stand, the party, like everywhere was inside of.
Was all in that one spot.
Yeah, so it was interesting how they used the camera tricks to kind of make that dynamic look a little bit bigger than it was, but it was cool. It wasn't that hard. I didn't have to do that much.
Got you. Now, I don't know about them. I'm asking this question for myself, but I'm sure some of them want to know as well. What was your very first thought when you seen old girl crying over the North North video?
I felt bad for her. And she was right. Your kid's not supposed to listen to that kind of shit.
She was so hurt.
That's kind of the point of the music. Like, you got to think about it. We kind of fucked up to the point that we could hear some shit because I be saying some crazy shit
And it
sometimes.
just be like,
and we
whatever.
like, oh, I love this song. this makes me happy. Like, you fucking weird. She's not the weird one. You weird to be like.
So it's really on us. We the ones messing up.
Yeah, we desensitized. We get so hot. That song wasn't supposed to be like. I didn't want to put that song on my album because I thought it was too extra.
Really?
Ask him. I said they had to make me put that on my album.
Corey, why you make them do that, man?
But I didn't want it. I
There
don't
you
want
go.
it. I don't want it to be on my album because it was too, of that nature. I don't really like talking about that kind of stuff.
Got you.
But they didn't make me, but they said it was a good idea, so I put it on my album, and
then it
it
ends up
worked.
going
Obviously,
viral.
yeah. But it's like she was right. Like
It was a little extra.
that was the point, though. It's not. It's like this. Like, so say you talk about movies, compare music to movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you see a movie and like you see somebody getting like murdered in a movie or something like of that extreme in a movie,
Right.
like you watching a horror movie, niggas don't start clapping when that part of the movie come up. You get what I'm saying? But
Very true.
it's the same thing with music. It's just the fact is that when it's in music and it's people of an urban spectrum, we feel like that's what's supposed to happen to them for the most part. So it's like we think it's normal for things like that to happen, so we just let it pass. But she coming obviously from a place to where she doesn't understand those things to be normality. So it was interesting for her to see that or hear that in the fact, because she never said she had no problem with me. She said she
Right.
didn't like that.
It was
Those
just the
things,
content.
that was a concept. She said if those things are happening in real life, then somebody needs to make it to where that doesn't happen anymore. Everybody ignored that part. But yeah, I felt bad for her. She in Kentucky somewhere crying. That shit not cool.
So they kind of pushed you to put that song on your album. Speaking of who they is, your manager is a little bit of a legend. How did y'all get linked up? Because you seem to be, I mean, you are younger, and he's definitely a veteran. See, I was gonna say veteran, but yeah, he's an old head. So how did did you find him, or did he find you, or how did that happen?
I was just around. Then he was just somewhere I was at.
So he's like at the store or something, and he just walked up to you?
Nah, it wasn't even like that. He was working with somebody else who was around the homie a lot, and I was just around. I didn't really have nothing to do with it at that point in time. And then his name was Michael Zawaro. He kind of brought me into the fold, I guess, because Michael was like, well, if you're going to work with me, Vince is here too, type thing.
Okay.
And that's how that came about. Like, it really didn't have nothing to do with me at the beginning.
Got you.
I was just, like, around.
So you was just there, and he was like, yo, my man's is here too.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what happened.
Okay, that's what's up. I noticed that you seem to be one of the people in the younger generation of hip-hop that keeps getting sucked into these conversations about the gap in generations, like over and over. But they don't ever seem to be talking about you. Like, they're talking about other artists, but they talk to you.
Because they want me to say something negative about somebody else.
Right.
That's all they ever want me to say. It's just so annoying. It's corny as fuck. Like, so how do you feel about this? Like, I really don't got an opinion on anything, to be honest. Like, when we, like, all those videos you see on the internet and shit, we be shooting that shit for like 3 hours. Because I don't want to say nothing bad about anybody.
I found it interesting when at the Complex Con, like, just your whole body language. Like, you was sitting there and they were like, yeah, so Vince, and you were like, I'm just trying to get this money, man.
Yeah, you feel me? Like, I don't care about none of that. It's like, why y'all want to sit down and be mad at each other all day? Like, y'all go fight or something. If everybody upset, like, just go to the back, 15 seconds, like high school. Like, y'all be all right. But it's like, I don't feel the need to, because it's music. Music is everything just supposed to be like exactly the same? Because if that's the case, you niggas don't want a job no more. Because it can only be about 3 or 4 of y'all if everything sound the same. And I don't think it was, but I don't think nobody there was really on that. Like, Raekwon wasn't on that, obviously.
Nah, not at all.
And Scarface wasn't on that. So it's like, I don't care about that stuff, man.
Yeah, I think that we get caught up in trying to sectionalize hip-hop when we need to look at the full spectrum of it.
I mean, but it's not even that. They just want us to, like, niggas that was rapping in New York in the early 90s. They're not talking about nobody else.
Right.
At all.
Just that one group of people.
It's just like mumble rap just mean you have a southern accent, which is foul as fuck. Because all that means is we don't understand what you're saying because you have an accent. Like, come on, bruh. That shit is corny as fuck. Like, how is 21 Savage mumbling? I understand this nigga is over-enunciating his words. Like, he said some long-ass words. If you really listen to that motherfucker's music, he said Mechanicsville in a song, and I understand him full. Panthersville. These ain't easy words to say. What are you talking about? But it's like, all that means is, you're from the South, so we don't like mumble rap because you don't speak like we speak in this general area. And then it's all this other shit about who talk about what. They're like, leave these niggas alone, man. They minding their business. They not talking about you. So you shouldn't have to talk about them. That's just how I feel, but I grew up different than some people. You don't just get to talk about niggas for no reason. It just be okay where I live at. So
right, that turns into a problem.
Yeah, so and you shouldn't want problems with people if you're trying to, make music and be positive and all the stuff we say we supposed to be doing.